Hey, it's Dr. Nuesse from EasyDOTphysicals.com, and in this video we are talking about both presidential candidates, both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and their viewpoints, their opinions on marijuana reform or marijuana legalization. So I want to keep this video mostly based in fact, things that have actually happened or quotes that the presidential candidates have actually said. I will give my opinion here or there, but I really want to keep this based mostly in facts so that you can hopefully make a more informed decision come time to vote. And we're going to be talking about both candidates, both presidential candidates' viewpoints on decriminalization of marijuana, rescheduling of marijuana, and full legalization of marijuana. All right, so let's start by going all the way back to 2018. So in June 2018, Donald Trump said that he would, quote, probably support the STATES Act, which was a bipartisan bill that would effectively end federal prohibition on marijuana and leave the issue up to the states. And this is something that Donald Trump has said a number of different times, is that it should be up to the states. His administration, subsequently, when he was the president, subsequently upheld the federal prohibition of cannabis, and Trump's 2021 fiscal budget proposal included removing protections for state medical marijuana laws. All the way back now to 2010. In 2010, when she was running to become California's top law enforcement official, Kamala Harris opposed allowing marijuana sales for recreational use. And at that time, she said it would cause confusion in the state's loosely regulated medicinal marketplace. So I can tell you that both candidates seemingly have loosened their position to marijuana reform, and we'll talk about that here going forward. First off, if you are concerned with an upcoming drug test, as always, I recommend two things. Number one is home drug test on a schedule leading up to your official drug test. That's the best way to know if you are going to pass. And please also visit exploroacademy.com. This is a step-by-step process to give yourself the best chance to pass an upcoming drug test if you are concerned about marijuana. All right, so let's move on to both candidates' viewpoints on decriminalization of marijuana, and we'll start with Harris. So Vice President Harris backs decriminalization and has called it absurd that the Drug Enforcement Administration now has marijuana in the Schedule I category alongside other drugs like heroin and LSD. Harris also called for a, quote, change to our nation's approach to marijuana, and that, quote, nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed, end quote. She went on to state, quote, times have changed. Marijuana should not be a crime. We need to start regulating marijuana and expunge marijuana convictions from the records of millions of Americans so they can get on with their lives, end quote. Donald Trump recently spoke on decriminalization as well, and he stated, quote, as I have previously stated, I believe it's time to end needless arrests and incarcerations for adults for small amounts of marijuana for personal use. We must also implement smart regulations while providing access for adults to safe, tested products, end quote. He also stated that as a Floridian, which Donald Trump is, he will be voting yes on Amendment 3 in this upcoming election. So it seems like there is a lot of agreement between the two presidential candidates on decriminalization of marijuana, not treating marijuana use as a crime. There seems to be a lot of agreement between the two candidates. All right, but now let's move on to rescheduling of marijuana. So rescheduling of marijuana, a topic that I have done a number of videos on this channel on. And we'll start with former President Donald Trump. So, quote, as president, we will continue to focus on research to unlock the medical uses of marijuana to a Schedule III drug and work with Congress to pass common sense laws, including safe banking for state-authorized companies and supporting states' rights to pass marijuana laws like in Florida that work so well for their citizens, end quote. So on rescheduling, Vice President Harris states, quote, I cannot emphasize enough that they need to get to it as quickly as possible. We need to have a resolution based on their findings and their assessment, end quote. So what she is talking about is the DEA. So she's saying the DEA needs to get to it as quickly as possible. The DEA needs to move a little bit quicker as far as their rescheduling process goes. Again, I'm not going to rehash everything, but the DEA is currently in the process of rescheduling, and that actually just got delayed. That was my last video, but Harris is basically saying they need to move a little faster. They're not moving fast enough in her opinion. So when it comes to rescheduling of marijuana, there's also a lot of agreement between the two presidential candidates, but they also do start to split here as well, with Kamala Harris wanting the DEA to very quickly get marijuana rescheduled and for it to be rescheduled nationally, federally, and Donald Trump really stating that he's accepting of rescheduling, but he would really prefer for it to be left up to the individual states. All right, so what have their comments been? What opinions do both of the candidates have about full legalization? Well, Kamala Harris, it's very straightforward. Quote, rescheduling marijuana is great. Legalization is better, end quote. I don't know how much more direct it could be than that. Kamala Harris would prefer full legalization of marijuana, but she, for now, is accepting of rescheduling. So what does Donald Trump have to say about legalization of marijuana? Quote, in Florida, like so many other states that have already given their approval, personal amounts of marijuana will be legalized for adults with Amendment 3, end quote. So Amendment 3, what he's talking about is specific to Florida, again, where Donald Trump resides, and he has already said that he supports Amendment 3. Donald Trump goes on further to state, quote, whether people like it or not, this will happen through the approval of the voters, so it should be done correctly, end quote. So basically, he's kind of begrudgingly saying that he supports it because it's going to happen no matter what, no matter if people like it or not. So if it's going to happen, again, in Donald Trump's opinion, it should be done correctly. So just some final thoughts here. There doesn't seem to be as great a divide between liberals and conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, as there once was when it comes to marijuana legalization. The views of the voters have changed over time, and at least Donald Trump is voicing a lot of support for legalization or legislation of marijuana, and obviously Kamala Harris is as well. So there's a lot of agreement on this particular topic between the two candidates. All right, so I would love to hear from all of you. In the comments below, let me know, who do you favor as far as their marijuana policies go? And is this even a topic that affects the way that you will vote in this coming election? All right, until next time, everybody, stay safe.